Hi, my name is Kyle. I'm an avid Photoshopper. This is the first episode of what I like to call Photoshop Methods. This is basically Photoshop hands-on. Throughout the series, I'm going to be just doing stuff in Photoshop. And as I do stuff, I'm going to teach you some of the techniques that I use in a lot of my projects. So yeah, let's get started. So I have CS5 on my desktop computer, and we're going to just jump right into it here. I have a folder on my desktop called Desktop Photos. I bet you can guess what that's all about. However, I decided I kind of need a new profile picture for my Facebook, so and I have this thing about my profile pictures. They can never be the same one, and they always have to look really nice. So I'm starting with something that I took on one of the stages at school with my phone, nonetheless. You can do this. It's totally simple. And we got this little image here of me on a green screen on the stage. So yeah, let's get to it. I'm just gonna unlock this layer and call it Kyle. So first things first, I'm gonna crop this just so that I get me, and to get a square I'm gonna hold down Shift. So okay, I like that. Press enter. We'll see the actual pixels, which is really how big it is. That's a good size, a good quality size from a cell phone. And now we're just going to cut around it. So I'm going to use my lasso tool on the polygon property tool, the polygon lasso. I'm just going to do a rough outline here of me. Doesn't have to be perfect right now. We're gonna go in and use a really good tool for, especially for the hair, but just overall cutting and masking is the content aware tool, which is, in my opinion, one of the best inventions ever created. When I look at magazines, I pay attention to this. If the hair isn't neatly cut and you can see through the hair as you would naturally in real life. So I have this selected. I'm going to click on Refine Edge, and this will give me a pop-up here. Looks like I have everything set how I had it before, so I'm going to switch over to my brush. I'm using a Wacom tablet Intuos 4 large, if you're really curious. And we're going to start sort of outlining where my figure is to the background, the green screen. It looks like I'm getting a little bit of a green spill right there, so I don't want to get too much of that. I might have to tweak my settings a little bit just to get that refined correctly. Well, that's not too bad. Get some of the green in here. Come back up here. What I love about Photoshop is that it's a time-consuming process sometimes. I'm a person that loves tedious work. It's very calming for me, so call me crazy, but this is the kind of work I enjoy. Okay, so that's a pretty good outline. Looks like it's really soft around the edges. Let's back this down. Okay, we're getting somewhere. I'm going to desaturate a lot. Maybe not so much. And I haven't done any color correction to this photo yet. I'm just cutting myself out. Let's maybe smooth this too. Up the radius just a little bit. And contrast. All these settings are, it's touch and go. Trial and error. I'm also recording this in 1080 HD so that you guys can blow it up and see exactly the details in this. And that's what I hate about the other tutorials that I find online, is that none of them are high definition, so I can't see any details or see exactly what they're talking about. I'm a hands-on person. I gotta know what you're talking about. Okay, so I could play with this a little more, but I think that'll just about do it. And let's see here. Okay, yeah, that works. Okay, we're just gonna do a new layer. I don't need a mask or anything. And press OK. And automatically, oh, we can see my glasses really fell out there. Okay, so we're going to go up to image, and with that selected, with that new layer selected, we're going to adjustments. Oh jeez, adjustments, and went blank there. Curves. Curves are very helpful. Curves. I go to these things every single time. So that's a lot of red in there. I'm gonna even this out, just even out each one so that they're all sort of even. You see how the brightness over here, the spectrum kind of dies out on the end there. So the lighter part is moving this over and kind of get rid of most of it, so it's non-existent anymore. And okay, so now we'll start tweaking. Red, I think there's just too much red. There's also too much green. You can see it's a terrible spill. Oh. Let's bring up the blue, see what that does. Okay, normalizes it a little bit. Okay, I'm okay with that for now. I'm gonna go to exposure. I find myself going to this one too. Bring a little more light on my face. And in fact, I'm not going to do too much because my hands are brighter than my face right now. That's fine. Bring up the gamma just a little bit. Maybe bring it back. Yeah, that might be better. See that difference there? Yeah. So I'm going to go into my saturation tool, which is O. That's your keyboard shortcut, is O. Make sure it's on desaturate here. Strength 50%. We'll see how that. So we'll do my little eye here. I really should have paid more attention to the spill. It's terrible. Oh man. You know, every single thing I've done is in black and white, especially for what I'm doing with this one, so let's just do black and white. Okay, that wasn't what I was looking for. There we go. Shift, Control, and Alt, and B for black and white. So that's your shortcut on the keyboard. We'll bring up the reds just a little bit. Again, making my face a little brighter. Blue is mostly in the sweatshirt, so we'll give that a nice contrast. And yellow, don't want to be too crazy with that. Magenta is not going to affect us too much. There was blue. That was definitely some blue there, yeah. We'll bring that down too. Yeah, give it some really nice, balanced tone there. And we'll see. Wow. Okay. Now I'm going to do a very soft selection, an ellipse selection. To change out from square to ellipse, I just hold down Shift and press M for my marquee tool. Going to my marquee tool here, we'll do about that much, and feather that about 40 pixels. And we'll do a little bit of brightness, not too much. And then just a tad bit of contrast to make it all blend. You see the difference there, okay. Now we're going to select inverse and do the opposite. And sort of darken everything around the face. Very nice. It's already automatically contrasted. Bring that right there. Good balance. Yeah. Alright, so now your eye immediately goes to my face. I might make it a little brighter later on. So now I need a background. What I'm doing with this background is I'm creating a mosaic pattern. So like everything, it's very pixely. I'm making very large squares in the back in the back of me. So really any photo can do. I'm just looking for a color palette that might work for this picture. So maybe maybe some brighter colors, like some of these leaves here. I can take that. Let's see what I can do with that. It's okay. The resolution doesn't matter, and really nothing matters in this thing, because the effect I'm going to put on it is I'm just going to take everything out. It's going to make it look really. I'm going to rasterize this layer so that I can apply effects to it and mess with exposure and all that jazz. So filter, pixelate, and mosaic, and automatically I get some pixelation going on. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Let me throw this underneath me so that I see what I'm working with here. There we go. Move this out of the way. Let's see how big we can get them. Yeah, so something like that, where it'll be in completely black and white and blend in with myself. I'm really soft around the fingers there. Alright, so I like that because it's going from brighter to darker, kind of matching my tone a little bit. We'll look at it. Try 130. I want to get it like a perfect square. So that's perfect. That's good. I like that. So from that to that. So it really doesn't matter, because since I'm doing black and white, it really doesn't matter the color palette. But as long as I get those hues of lighter to darker, and look at that. That already looks amazing. Yeah, I'm really gonna have to do something with the fingertips. They're really soft and feathered. For that, I can just refine a new layer. Let's see what we got here. Okay. What's under? Is that? The sounds of the city. Car honks and car alarms are probably the one thing you'll always hear. Thank you, LA. Magenta. Really not going to have much effect there. Right. Okay. Yeah. Kind of here. Around the fingers. So I'm going to go back to the original. And sort of going to do this more detail. Oh, I can see why it was so feathered. I got these lines. What if... Ugh. Okay, let's try refining it a little bit. Let's just do this. Okay. And let's see how that goes. So, obviously, this hand is not in black and white anymore, and I didn't do an adjustment layer. So I'm going to have to go through the black and white process all over again. That's one of the drawbacks of editing your picture as is and not doing adjustment layers so that you can turn them on and off and preserve the original photo, which I usually just keep a copy of the original photo. I like to start from scratch from time to time. So look at that. We'll go on this one first, and it doesn't look like it's going to blend very well. You know what? I am going to have to just edit this part. So what I can do there is sort of select the outside. Oh, that was terrible. And you know what I could do? Just get really close in there and just do this by hand. Again, that tedious work that I love so much. And I'm using my pen as pressure sensitive, so the harder I press down, the harsher it erases, the more solid the eraser is. If I could show you my history right now, it's just nothing but eraser marks. So I can go up there. Yeah, so I can actually make this a little more open. The glasses I am going to have to fix though, so let's go ahead and do that. Because this is going to be simple, because black is such a harsh contrast. It shouldn't be difficult at all. Oh, what the heck. Some of the, there we go. So I'm going to try and select just the black part of my glasses. Try not to get my skin too much. Ugh. Good grief, what's going on there? Oh, you know what? I was doing a different layer. I do that all the time. Okay. This should do it. There we go. Okay, alright. Okay. That should match it a little bit. I can clean up the edges and whatnot. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna bump this up, and I could probably just desaturate this and not really have to worry too much about it, or just go black and white. Press OK. So the thing is, part of this is still sort of see-through, and I can't tell if that's where the frame ends or not. I think it is. I'll leave that, but this part I'm going to have to fix. So I'm just going to make sure I feathers down and just sort of draw it in a little bit, sort of give it that final solid look that's there. I'm just going to go ahead and bring that up a bit there too, and it shouldn't be too bad. It looks a little fake. So maybe we can play with the contrast. Maybe. Ooh. Yeah. I think I see some. Yeah, they're right there. It's still a little weird. So let's do exposure and bring down the gamma correction. Ooh, too much. Okay. And to make it blend in a little more, I'm just going to blur it just a little bit. That might have been too much. Let's do 20%. Something right there. Okay. Alright, so that kind of works. Yeah, let's see, look at the actual pixels. Yeah, totally sellable. You won't even glance at it twice. I'm going to fix these fingers as well. So now I'm going to merge these two, because I'm satisfied with them. And whoops. What am I doing? I'm on pen. I think I know what it is. My nails are really long that day. So hopefully this doesn't make anything, my fingers look shorter than they actually are. But this is good. This will be okay. I could probably feather those a little bit, make them blend in a little. Just a little bit. Okay, some weird stuff right there. For the most part, this is pretty good. Just trying to just even that out there. Sharpen these edges. Alright. There's Mr. Director Kyle. This is good. I want to... It needs something. Maybe it needs to be a smaller crop. Maybe? Yeah, that might do it. Sort of fill up the screen there. Ah, you know what I can do. I can blur out my hands a little bit to a lens blur, so it looks cool. What I'm going to do with that is do a soft selection. Give about 10 pixels around my hands. I'm going to hold down Shift and for multiple selection. Do a feather of... I think 30 will be okay. Whoa. Maybe not. 10, 8. That should be okay. So we'll go up to Filter, Blur. I think it's Lens Blur. Yeah. With CS6 they have this really cool camera blur effect where you can... Yeah, it's kind of extensive. Hexagon? Yeah, hexagon. Bring down the radius a little bit. And I'm noticing some transparency around my sweatshirt here and my hair. So... isn't too much. You really do focus on my face there. Okay. So then let's do. Let's look at my face. Let's fix this up a bit. Not that there's anything wrong with this face. Dodge. Shadows. Let's clean that up a bit. And burn shadows. Just get my eye. So terrible. Gonna clean up around here. Gonna burn these spots. Actually, I can just use my brush tool and erase this. Make it look semi-like hair. That is weird. That's the decontamination from the refine tool. It really does take a lot of practice to master that thing. I learned this pretty cool trick from a friend of mine. What I can do to fix up my face and not, destroy it at the same time and just kind of like spot it. This is a really interesting technique using the art history tool. I think maybe I can bring it up. Let's see if I might destroy my layout here. Okay, whatever. This is my history. So as you can see, I just did a bunch of erasing for the hair. So I have this layer selected. I'm going to put a Gaussian blur to the point where you can barely see any artifacting or pixelating happening. So let's try. That's about 3 pixels is how we can do it. And then we go back, right? But then we click against the action that we just did with the Gaussian blur, with the filter. We just click on the box next to it, and that is the art history brush. And we go over here to the brushes, right click on the brushes, and pick out. It's not this one. It's a brush on its own. Art history brush, which is 2 under the brush. Go to art history brush, click on that. I think it's just history brush tool. So do this. Make sure, yeah, okay. Hardness is all the way down. That's your feathering. And strength, opacity, flow, 100%. We'll see how this goes. Yeah, wow, that's really strong. As you can see on the history that everything before the Gaussian blur is now taking effect, and it's not even going past the blur. So if I wanted to, I could go right back to the blur if I really wanted to. But no matter what I do, if I have that thing selected. So let's see here. Bring the opacity down to say 23. Okay, you can see you can already see the difference. A lot of this pixelating is disappearing, Having it feathered is better too, because it looks more seamless and more fluid, and it blends better with everything. So and we get into smaller areas, lower the size of your brush so that you don't accidentally blur out the entire image, the details in the image, the lines. That's very important. Just up here. And the shortcut I'm using to change my brush size is the open and close brackets. That's the default, the factory default of that shortcut. I don't really change my shortcuts. I stick with what the program has and learn those. I mean, you know, it's good when you're trying to talk to somebody else about Photoshop, trying to explain to them, well, you know, click the shortcut. Sometimes I forget what the brush is even called, and I say, well, then, you know, hit C. It's the crop tool. But you don't remember that all the time, so shortcuts are big. I use shortcuts all the time. I have some built into my Wacom tablet, so that all I have to do is just click these side buttons. And I can go into more depth about the different shortcuts that I use most. Alright, so this is looking really good. The texture is still there. That's what's important. The texture of the picture and of my skin is still there. Sort of almost grainy, pixely. Not grainy, but just blurred. Do some of that. I can even go into the sweatshirt if I really wanted to and fix up the sweatshirt. I might do some around my head, around my face, just so that the viewer's eye goes directly to my face at first glance, even more so. So if I blur things around my face, subconsciously people will go to the sharper image next to that blur, and since everything underneath that is just bland, that'll be the first thing you go to. Okay, it does look kind of weird, a little, because my face is so bright. But you know, when you look at the thumbnail version right here, it doesn't look too bad. But does it look good enough to put on Facebook? Yeah. Yeah, we'll finish there. And so we'll go to File, Save As. I mean, you can save your Photoshop files. That's, you know, the preferred method for a lot of people. I don't mind either way. Some files I do need to save because there's so many layers. File ID. This is October 2013. And I'm not going to put in desktop photos because I have a folder dedicated to edited images. And there it is. And then we'll upload that to Facebook, and it'll be my new directing pose image. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you next time.